Hi, it's part 2. I'm just going to kind of go in and bounce back and forth with Terra Papers 1 and Terra Papers 2, and then I can go into a little bit of detail, or it's read by audio at Jrgenius.com/audio.htm. Everything's there for you, or you can get the link off Canadastreetnews.com. But remember, the Snake Queens from Orion and the Sirius Canis Dog Star Kings formed an allegiance at the Ninth Passageway. First there's An with Al, and then An is their brothers. Al manages to kill off his brother and become the throne ruler. Later on, his grandson is Zeus. An's grandson is Anu, so Anu takes the throne from Al, and he's now ruler at the Royal Passageway, which is at the Orion star system. There's a royal palace there. Al takes off to a place called Tiamat, which is in the new solar system, and that is our solar system. So he takes off over there. Anu calls his palace pure, and then Tiamat is unpure. His grandson Zeus is kept close to Anu. Anu has 2 boys, Ea, Enki, same thing, and Enlil. Enlil is the older one, and he has the bloodline with the Snake Queen, so he gets to run the throne later. And Ea is a geneticist scientist who does all the work but gets no credit for it. So he's the snake in the garden that you'll see in scriptures in Genesis. So as it goes, you have Zeus being the royal cupbearer for Anu, because Anu doesn't trust Zeus because he might overthrow him. And Enlil, which is Lord of Command, Lord of Word, is down at Tiamat, keeping an eye on Al, which is the impure palace. So what happens is that eventually, they get overthrown. But so eventually what happens is that Zeus gets overthrown, Tiamat blows up. He rules for a while, Zeus, after overthrowing Anu, and they find a reason. They take these planets, which are spaceships. They hollow out the planets, and they use their orbits to go around. And there's this huge fight. Zeus and his planet, I guess, Anu's warship crashes right into Tiamat, breaks it off, and a piece of it's left, and it's still it's repaired later. So Ea and Enki go to repair that. That's called Earth later, which is Eridu, which was Tiamat, which is the old solar system, becomes Eridu with an E. And you have Ea and Enki down there as the new geneticist scientists forming the new hybrids. Now the Anunnaki, which are humanoid, they're very tall. They are Anunnaki from the star system, Sirius Orion. They are there mining the gold for the Snake Queens up in the Ninth Passageway. So they're doing all the work. Enlil wants to go back home to the royal palace. He says he's too far away. Ea is getting ticked off because he's doing, he's getting no credit for it. He'll never be in charge of Earth or anything. So what he does in order to say, okay, if Enlil wants to go, I'm going to give the Anunnaki, who are on strike right now because they're working too hard, a break, and I'm going to take this primitive beast man and form him give a little bit of my DNA, because Enlil wanted him to use the Anunnaki DNA, and he says, I'm going to piss him off and we're going to give him a little piece of God, dog, in reverse, dog star. And so he forms the first Adapus man with his sister from the Orion system, Ninhursag. So they get together and they create this primitive hybrid Adapus man who alleviates all the work. He's primitive. He's a beast. He's in the garden, which is the experimental garden, and Enlil doesn't like that. So he treats him like a real slave and enslaves him and throws him away as he needs to. The poor Adapus beast is only allowed to reproduce when he's allowed to, and so he gets driven like a slave driver. Ea thinks that it was, this would help alleviate the Anunnaki, and he would also be able to get in charge of Earth and get rid of his son, his brother Enlil, so he can go back to the palace, because the Anunnaki didn't want him either. That's the Yahweh of the Old Testament. But by creating this hybrid, he thought that, you know, everybody would be happy and Enlil can go. But what Anu said, because Anu wanted to keep the royal palace for himself, he wanted to rule down at the Aser palace, which is the combination of Sirius Orion. He said, well, that's great, now Enlil can stay. So this freaked Ea out. I think he took off to another star system with Ninhursag for a while, but he came back and had to work on Earth again to modify the Adapus man, and he created the Adamus man. The difference with the Adamus one was that he added the bird DNA from the ankles, the angels, which is from another star system, which gave the Adamus race more passion, so they would prefer sex over working. And this really ticked his brother off, which was the intent anyway. But he didn't want the beast to be enslaved, and he wanted him to be free. So that's what happened. The Adamus race was free-willed. The Adapus was allowed to stay in the garden. The Adamus race got caught having sex. They got kicked out of the garden because they didn't follow Enlil, who was the Lord of Command. And so what happened was that Ea, with his sister, Ninhursag, went and found the Adamus beast and started teaching them. And the teachers of the Adamus, how to clothe themselves, how to live, were called the Iesus, the teachers of Ea. So somewhere along the line you have Isis Ishtar, who is the granddaughter of Enlil, who vowed to rule. And then Ea also had two sons, which is Marduk and Dumuzi. The older one is Marduk, which is Ra. And he also wants to overthrow Enlil, who's Lord of Command on Earth. Anu's back at the royal palace trying to keep, you know, his seat intact and not get knocked over. So what happens is that there's a scheme to rule the world one day, and then that's what you're going to have coming back now with the return of the sun god, which is Ra, and you have a lot of the alien people, alien shifters coming in and introducing this guy and his new economy, which is the Ashtar command is the Isis Ishtar thing. And that's the Illuminati, is all ruled by the secret societies, which is ruled by this Ra men faction. So what happens is that there's a war. Remember, Enlil is Yahweh. He commanded the Iburus. He's the to honor the Sabbath. He wanted these Adamus races to obey him. So they had a schooling on on the 7th day, which is the Sabbath day. And then Ea Anki is our creator, and along with the Ninhursag, the Orion Snake Queens, he wanted the free-willed Adamus race. And so we have the angel feathers, which gives us the third part. We have three DNA strands. The 2 DNA strands is the Kundalini energy that you see going up a pole, which is the reptilian and the dog DNA, and then we added the bird DNA, which makes up the parts of our human brain, which makes us very different in the whole galactic cosmos, because human primates on Earth, we have the DNA of royalty, which is from Ea, and we can rule this Earth one day. We will rule this Earth one day, because that's just the way it's written. So so there's a fighting faction always. Orion and Sirius are fighting. You have these Shetty lizards, which look like grays. They were also used in the New Earth. They worked underground. They were very good stonemasons, and they worked to faction all the different statues and different monuments, and they were also kept underground. So this is what is ruling the planet now. Is this lizard reptilian bloodline? They kicked out Ra eventually because Ra and Isis wanted to overthrow Enlil and Anki. Enlil went back to the royal palace. Ea took off to the Pleiades with his Adamus race. And with these crop circles that you see now, you'll have different crop circles. See November 4th, Canadastreetnews.com for the different ones. They're trying to reach us. But what the Ra faction did was he put this electrical covering, this net around the Earth so that we could not connect to the stars and the other star races, and we are in lockdown right now until the Earth changes, which takes the electrical grid down, because if we don't have power or electricity, then